Core Keeper has steadily become one of my favorite games, and it was completely by happenstance. The funny thing is what actually sold me on it was the PC showcase in 2021. I was doing a reaction stream to the showcase and it randomly showed Core Keeper. Me and my friend thought it looked pretty fun, so we both bought it and started playing through it. Little did we know that we had one of the best indie games out there. I will get into my criticisms, but if I can praise one thing first and foremost, it's the developers. The way that they've approached content with Core Keeper is something that I think is unmatched. Because whenever they end up adding some new endgame content, they go back and tweak a bunch of the old content to make it fit. Suffice to say that the entire flow of the game almost always completely changes for the better with each update. So the elevator pitch is that this is top-down Terraria. Your progression will often get locked behind bosses, but unlike Terraria, it's not locked behind one specific boss. It's usually locked behind many. The early portion of the game, for example, has a select few biomes, with ore only going up to gold tier, and once you defeat the main 3 bosses, the rest of the world opens up. Each of the different biomes will have their own unique enemies, dungeons, loot, and bosses, including a ton of optional bosses. And another thing that I very much appreciate about Core Keeper is that each of the different armor and weapons in the game are all viable. The developers put a lot of care into making sure that each piece of gear has a select set of stats that other pieces of gear won't. Like you could potentially upgrade the first armor in the game and use that at the end game. Obviously, it's not going to have as good stats as some of the late game armor, but still, the fact that it's there as an option is appreciated. It means that you can really experiment and find builds that work for you. But let's move on to my criticisms. In this day and age, it's standard for most people to just use the internet alongside playing video games, but for me, I always prefer to discover things for myself without having to look online. I think it's bad game design when a player is expected to look online for the solution. For the most part, I was able to get through Core Keeper without looking anything up, but I wouldn't be surprised to hear somebody playing Core Keeper with the wiki open in the background. It's one of those games. Another critique is the sheer amount of time investment required in order to upgrade your skills. So you get these passive abilities by performing certain actions. Kill things with a sword, your melee level goes up. Walk around, your running level increases. This is all well and good, but the XP requirement in order to max these skill trees out is ridiculous. Like I'm sitting at over 100 hours playtime. The majority of my kills are with melee weapons, and I still don't have the melee skill maxed out. For all of the things that you can change with the world generation when you create a world, I do wish that they would let you tweak certain aspects like the XP gain. Even so, it doesn't take anything away from the game. It would just be nice to be able to max out my character in a reasonable amount of time. Regardless, I can easily recommend this game, especially if you have some friends to play it with. Your save file for your character and world are separate, which means there's no punishment by going into your friend's world and helping them out, because you'll be able to take all of the gear that you get in their world back to your own. And even though the game's fully released, the devs are already planning new content.